This is the episode where I was talking about how I remembered some very off-putting, strange episode about selling women to miners on some asteroid who were very... Yeah, I mean, I guess I won't tell you everything that happens, but it's definitely, these women are definitely part of a transaction. Like the guy that they're being delivered to puts the Enterprise in danger because he's like, you're going to give us those women before we give you the repairs you need or the replacement parts you need. However, all that put aside, Harcourt Fenton Mudd is an incredibly entertaining villain to have parading around, and it's actually a fun episode. The premise is a little strange, as I recalled, and it's not. I mean, I don't know. I think I had an idea that this was much more about slave women being traded, and supplied to lonely men on these asteroids. It's not exactly like that. It is kind of fun. Do you remember it
I
at
love
all?
Mud.
Oh,
I don't really necessarily remember this specific episode, but I do remember Mud in general, and I've always been a fan.
yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see Rainn Wilson.
Rainn Wilson's not in this episode, is he?
There's no way Rainn Wilson is in this episode now.
Yeah, he's too young for that.
But he plays Harry Mudd in Discovery.
Again, as has been discussed, have not seen that.
Oh man, I felt for sure we would have mentioned it at least. Maybe I guess not.
You maybe mentioned it, but I haven't seen him in Discovery. I haven't gotten that far in what little of Discovery I have seen. That being said, I've Googled him and he's pretty solid.
He looks good in the role, really. Because he's a silly guy.
Yeah, no, but he's an actor who I've always thought looked a little bit like... I don't have a good word for it, but he always looked... Thank you. He looks not as bad, not as weird as John Billingsley, with no disrespect to Mr. Billingsley, but
sure.
he's weird looking.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Rainn Wilson always looked a bit weird, so him as Mudd was not something I could really picture, but he actually looks halfway decent.
He makes a good Harry. Yeah,
he does.
Discovery is excellent. I can't wait.
I'll get there eventually.
Yeah, we will. I think maybe the question of the week for this week might be something along the lines of, who is your favorite clownish, greasy, unscrupulous smuggler type of villain? Obviously, I don't have it in those exact words yet, but something like an over-the-top... What do you call a very arch, just clownish villain? Is that just... Do you use those words? I feel like there's...
I feel like arch villain is a word for a reason.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's the right type of villain for this,
Yeah, well,
cartoon villain?
Interestingly enough, there is an... Yeah, anyway, arch means a lot of different things. But yeah, clownish, greasy, criminal type. The fun criminal, the fun-loving criminal type villain. That's the...
it's the Han Solo, but maybe evil.
Yeah, evil Han Solo, exactly. The rogue. Yeah. The roguish villain. Okay, we've got a lot of adjectives now. I don't know if I landed on the one I was looking for. Yeah. Okay. All right. So good. Yes. So do you have facts?
Oh, I'm not answering your question?
Oh, would you like to? Would you like to consider it first, or do you have an answer?
I mean, I have the question of to what degree are you counting someone as a cartoonish villain? Because, the whole thing with Tom Paris in TNG, he's a pretty good villain, and I like him in that a lot, or if we're looking for actual cartoonish, then Mudd's the perfect villain. Mudd is the first and most perfect villain that Star Trek ever came out with, for a cartoonish villain.
Nick Locarno is pretty arch and not cartoonish. Arch is almost dramatically evil, when someone is just plain evil. And
I think part of Locarno too, though, the reason why I'm putting him on it is because of his appearance in
Oh.
in Lower Decks in addition to. Like, if it had, if he only was ever doing TNG, if it was just TNG, 100%
Right.
no. But because they had to give us the stuff with him in Lower Decks, that's a whole new level for me, you know?
No, he does become the outlaw. He definitely is more of the outlaw character in TNG, and I think he definitely fits in with the Mud type.
Yeah. So he's my first pick, but if he's not quite hitting that, in your opinion, then yeah, Mud is the perfect Mud type, you know? I mean, Mud's just fun. Mud is just a fun villain.
And that's
he's not
exactly
malicious, he's just silly.
That's kind of what the question is. And honestly, I think that Lower Decks Nick Locarno really falls into this the space rogue type that I'm talking about. And,
well, I mean, Tom Paris
fun
did
villains.
it too, but just never went evil. That was the difference. Paris hit it too, though.
Yeah. He kind of... Tom Paris gets his shit together. I guess I wonder, my lasting impression of Tom Paris is as a man that got his shit together after...
Yes.
You know, I mean, what else are you going to do when you're stranded in the Delta Quadrant other than getting your shit together? But yeah, he has an arc. He really does. And his... at the beginning of it, he is the sort of space... Well, he's a Maquis. He's a Maquis guy. He is, right? Is that why he was imprisoned? Yeah, okay.
Paris himself was, if I remember correctly, not Maquis by choice. He was Maquis by Starfleet, basically putting him out and like ignoring him and being...
abandoning whoever he was with.
Yeah, because he had gone through something. I don't remember the specifics at this point, but he went through something, and it wasn't unlike what happened with Nick Locarno.
Right.
But unlike Nick, he came back to Starfleet, and he was still in Starfleet when the Maquis stuff happened. So he went and joined the Maquis because the Maquis weren't assholes, is my understanding, or at least correction is what I remember it as. Again, This is we're talking 10 years at least since I've last watched like Voyager, so I might be wrong. But yeah, he started out with the Maquis because they weren't assholes and they weren't treating him like a second-class citizen because of an accident he had as a cadet. Is my understanding. And then he joins up with Voyager because it's that or die. How else are you going to get your coffee out of that there nebula, right?
Mm-hmm. I might be making this up. It might be completely anecdotal, but I almost feel like Tom Paris was supposed to be Nick Locarno, and then there was some rights dispute, or the writer of the episode owned the character for some reason. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, at least that's what it could be the same thing. It might be the same, anecdotal that I'm remembering, but I've heard the same thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and again, I don't know the specifics about it, but there was something about... Yeah, they brought back Robert Duncan McNeil because they wanted to have Locarno be a character, and then they couldn't. So they had him be Tom Paris.
Would have been really interesting because Locarno is like really an asshole in the TNG episode, like really bad. Like he's manipulating people, getting people to lie for him, conspiracy, like
he's awful.
Asshole,
and yeah, and I think that's part of why they had the Tom Paris story start out so very similar, because he was supposed to be Locarno. Like, they got the same actor, they had a very similar story. But, oh man, was he a dick. Did not like. 10 out of 10 did not like.
Really great what they did with Lower Decks. I'm really amazed with
I'm so glad they brought him back.
Incredible choice.
Yeah, no, really, and it came out of left field. Like, they
and
spent
the other kids, like...
Yeah, no, spending the whole season, like, hinting at this one really awesome ship and this really powerful dude, and then just not, like, actually telling us until the last minute, Locarno, and, like, having that be a surprise. I loved it. It was great. I very much enjoyed that reveal. Massive spoiler alerts for season 4 of Lower Decks.
As always. But season 4 was really excellent.
Season 4 is fantastic.
They're like booked for a couple seasons, right? Is there at least one more? At least season 5 is happening, or
I've heard no indications or
nothing, no news.
I've heard no news about it in specific. I've heard no whispers or indications that there may be an attempt to cancel the show. As far as I know, everything is going apace.
Just sailing right along. Okay.
That might not be the case. I have not looked into it. I can do a bit of checking my quote-unquote sources, which is Google.
Right.
But yeah, I haven't heard anything about Lower Decks being canceled or continuing, so I'm assuming it's fine.
So, do you have facts?
I do, but I just started looking up season 5.
Oh, okay. Sure. No. Yeah.
Okay.
Any news? If there's any kind of idea of when it might come out?
There's release date rumors about season 5, but they are coming from September of last year.
Okay.
And they are likely arriving. The rumors it's likely arriving sometime in August to November of 2024. So there's no news, is really what it is. It's just people being like, this is when it usually airs, so it's probably going to have another season come out then, because they haven't said they're canceling it yet. That is the news.
Cool, I hope it comes out soon.
So I'm here. So, facts. Today's episode is called Mud's Women, and it is written by, Roddenberry. This is one of those story teleplay ones, so Roddenberry wrote the story, but the teleplay was written by Stephen Kandel, Kandel. Okay. So if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize, Mr. Kandel. Directed by Harvey Hart, which is his directorial debut for Star Trek. It originally aired October 13th of 1966.
Okay.
And IMDb gives it a 6.7 out of 10. So it is also the first episode we've had that's not been in the 7s.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Everything else has been 7.2 to 7.8 so far otherwise, so this is apparently one of the weaker episodes of the early stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like so we weren't super crazy about The Naked Time. I feel like this is better than The Naked Time, but I'm not a professional television critic from the 60s or whoever IMDb is using to choose their metrics.
I don't know, but I know that this is one of 3 episodes that is of season 1. So season 1 is 29 episodes long. This is including the 2-part of this as 2 separate episodes.
Ah, yes, okay. Wow, and long seasons back in the 60s.
Yeah. And this is one of 3 episodes that are below 7 in the entire season. Okay. The whole first season is a 7.0 or higher, except for this episode. The alternative factor is a 5.7 when we get to it. That's near the end of the season.
The alternative factor.
Yeah. It's episode 27 in our playlist. And 6.9 for Miri, which we'll be doing soon. That's a couple episodes from now. So everything else is above 7 for the whole, and most of them are 7s and 8s, you know?
Okay, yeah. Good, yeah. Well, a renowned first season. And yeah, this is I mean, I think, honestly, I can see why this one would get a little bit of a lower score. I think it's fun just because the character is so ridiculous. His costume is ridiculous. And there's a lot there's a lot of silly stuff going on in this. But, I mean, it's definitely not breaking any new ground as far as science fiction ideas or as far as, the kind of social commentary kind of thing. People probably know that you shouldn't, purchase women. But it's there's a weird kind of, well, you'll see. There's a story about trying to remain young and youthful and using drugs and stuff. You'll see, and then we'll talk about it some more after we watch it.
Yeah, I feel like part of why this might have gotten lower marks as well is just the it's not like a Star Trek episode, right? Like it's a little bit, it's a bit outside of the mold, so to speak. And I feel like, and this might be just me making assumptions because again, this is from the 60s. I wasn't around. I don't actually know. I'm going based off of what I've seen of historical records around the era, right? But
sure.
It feels like it would have been outside of the sensibilities at the time too. And so it may have got lower ratings just for being not okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's I was sort of thinking the same thing, that it might have just been the whole
Yeah. I might be wrong, but that's where I'm leaning on. As I think some of it's going to be that it's just it might have been viewed as inappropriate to a degree too.
All right, well, I'm gonna go grab my phone, which is on the other side of the room for some reason. But let's take a look at this.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome. Hello, and welcome back to the Least Ready Room, a website podcast, a podcast website, a podcast on the internet, a podcast where Dave and Chris and Saint and maybe you someday will watch every single episode of Star Trek and talk about it. If you want to talk to us or be involved with this, you can get started by talking to us on Discord, which is where we record this and talk about everything, and it's my main place for talking on the internet. Get a link to my Discord at koyadk.tv if you like. And today we are talking about Mudd's Women. Let's talk. Me and Chris will break it down in as full of a way as we are capable. But first, let's talk to Saint about it a little bit. And these guest segments, like Saint is going to be doing here, are. I would love to talk to some more people. So I occasionally ask on Discord if anyone would like to talk to me about Star Trek or about specific episodes. That could be you. Let me know. Let's talk to Saint and then Chris some more, and then we will talk about that question of the week and how people responded. So thank you for being here. Here we go.
Nice.
Oh, we're going to talk to Weebs and Saint.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Or Harcourt Fenton Mudd, Harry Fenton Mudd, something like that. Yeah, something. I might be misremembering.
You might recognize it, but
Dude's
not
name
off
is
the
Mudd.
top of my head.
I only just noticed that dude was all over fucking Discovery too, and it was Rainn Wilson. I did not know that. Mudd is like practically one of the only returning characters in TOS who was not like the crew. They have very few characters who like come back from more than one episode. He's in 2 episodes in TOS. He's in 2 episodes in Discovery. I checked again. No, it is just Harry.
Oh,
No, it is Harcourt. I checked. It is
okay.
Harcourt Harry Fenton Mudd.
Okay. That's, yes.
Mudd with 2 Ds. Mudded.
Right. Mudded is women.
Yeah, nobody calls him Mudded.
Captain's log, stardate 1329.8. The USS Enterprise in pursuit of an unidentified vessel.
There he is, sir. Center.
Yeah, so it had a happy ending. Like a good happy ending.
And
Like,
then
oh. We love them anyway, even if they're ugly, because they're good people.
and she loves the terrible man, and everyone's terrible, but they love each other anyway because they believe in themselves.
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Did Spock call this an annoying emotional episode?
He said this was an annoyingly emotional episode.
So I guess in the end, she believed in herself, and that seems very heavy in metaphor.
Yeah.
She believed in herself, but she physically transformed back into the beautiful lady. Or maybe that terrible man, Ben Childress, saw her as beautiful because she was so full of confidence.
Something like that, yeah. I think it was like McCoy was saying, is like the act's beautiful. And he's
Right.
confused about, but at the same time, he's confused about what exactly that means. He's like, I think that's what's happening, but I'm not even really sure what the hell that means. Because, you know, he's still trying to like sort through his glands.
His glands, of course, yes, his glands.
His hormones and his glands.
Bones McCoy has had a long-standing problem with controlling his glands.
Yep.
Man, fuck Ben Childress. But
Yeah.
that... Let's start at the beginning and talk about the high-definition chest hair that's sticking out of Henry Mudd's... Harry Mudd?
Yeah, Harry Mudd's shirt. Oh my god, dude.
It really was... There's a lot of close-ups. There's a lot of headshots and facial close-ups in this episode. And
He's got like a what do you call it? Like, you know, those
a
Victorian
boa, a feather boa around his neck.
of hair, or like one of those Victorian Edward,
Those,
like
those like neck poofs that the Queen
Yeah.
wears.
yeah, exactly. No, Elizabethan,
Okay.
yeah, from Elizabeth, the neck poof. Yeah, exactly.
Just curly hair coming out of his neck.
Out
The
of the
neck
top,
of his shirt. God.
out of the top of his shirt. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, get his shirt with a slightly
was like-
higher collar.
Someone super glued pubes to his neck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Not just
exact-
like the base of his neck around his
yeah,
throat.
right.
you know?
Like, oh my
Above
God.
his collar.
It was very. I guess we don't have to say too much more about that, but it was unsettling.
It was distracting.
The first half of the episode, all I could do was stare at that chest hair.
Either that or his crazy mustache.
Oh, his whole costume.
Yeah, his whole costume. His Irish accent started to go away too.
I think it went away after he stopped pretending to be Leo Walsh.
Oh, right.
It could have. Or it could have just slowly faded, because it was his whole accent. The whole episode was all over the place.
Yeah.
And he was and that actor really was having a ball.
But yeah, that dude was having fun. He was sweaty as fuck.
Oh my God.
He's just. I think that was just his whole vibe. It was just like sweaty and slimy and gross dude.
Harry
pimp.
Mudd.
Harry Mudd, the pimp.
Harcourt Fenton Mudd in a pimp's costume from someone went down to the CVS at the time in 1966 and got the pimp costume for Halloween.
They're like, we have a space pimp in this episode, so we need a space pimp outfit.
God damn that mustache. Really, yeah, really. With
Well,
the
he
wax
looked
curls.
More like a genie, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, could have been a genie costume. Yeah, it could have been a Sinbad. I've already mentioned that Sinbad was probably filming next door in other episodes.
It had a piratical kind of flair to it.
Yeah, it sure did. Yeah, the puffy shirt and shit.
The puffy shirt, his hat. His hat just needed a fucking feather in it, and he would have been set. The one earring. The one dangly earring.
One extremely like loud and boisterous earring.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So here we have Harcourt Fenton Mudd, who appears in one of the only recurring characters outside of the main crew.
TOS. He
in
shows up
TOS.
again. He shows up again with a different harem of androids this time.
Next time it will be fembots.
Yeah.
This time it was women that were on drugs to help their confidence, which. So did
increase
the
their-
drugs? Did the
to
drugs
increase their
actually?
acid price. Yeah, no, the drugs actually work, because you could see like how basically they, they enticed everyone nearby them, and when that one girl was standing under the medical scanner, it was like going off, and Bones is like, something's wrong. This is not just, because like if they were just confident, the medical scanner would go off.
Right.
The medical scanner doesn't detect confidence.
Right.
It detects drugs.
Yeah, a lot of. Are those shots? Did somebody grease the lens on a lot of those close-up shots of the women looking kind of blurry and dreamlike?
Yeah.
Is that what?
Yeah.
Is that how that happens?
Pretty sure, yeah, it was a Vaseline on the lens.
Yeah, a little bit of Vaseline.
You get that soft focus.
Okay, so Harry Mudd refers to Spock's lineage as Vulcanian. Yeah, I don't think I've heard that word before.
I think it's a deliberate like miss.
Oh, like Mud is, yeah, he's like stumbling over what you would call Vulcan culture.
Well, he looks he's an idiot.
He's doing, yeah, he's ignorant of how you would actually.
How you would actually say Vulcan. He's just like, oh, you're from Vulcan, so you're a Vulcanian.
That's a neat, yeah. That's a nice touch. That's a nice touch to his character.
Yeah.
They really did. I mean, they really did put a lot into this. I mean, this character is the whole episode. Like, he's so flamboyant and he's so arch. Yeah. Just the cackling villainy. I will be in control of this starship once they get a load of my women.
Yeah. He's such a buffoon, and it's, but he's obviously got something. He's got something dangerous. He manages to like fuck over the whole Enterprise.
I really like the scene where, and yeah, he really does. He really, in order to get released, which, I mean, they're not holding him on very serious charges. I mean, he got the Enterprise in trouble, but they did kind of chase him into a meteor shower. It was I'm not really sure who was at fault. Probably Harry Mudd.
No, it was Harry Mudd. He was like, he's like, I don't know, it was a starship that pulled up next to me. Someone just started yelling. It's like saying like, oh, I didn't know you were the cops. I didn't see the lights. I just, I thought you were a fake cop or something like that.
Yeah, so then he makes everything worse by wanting to get released. So he tells the miners down on the planet who have the lithium crystals that the Enterprise needs to get going again. He tells them, don't give these guys any lithium because I've got your women. I've noticed in this original series a lot of planets that are described as having like only 2 or 3 people on them, like human settlers, like outposts with only 2 or 3 people or one family.
Yeah, like they went to that in the Gary Mitchell episode. They went to that planet where it was completely automated.
Empty, yeah.
Apparently someone stops by like every few years just to check up and make sure everything's good.
One of these women talks about how her farm planet was all automated and it was only her family.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the episode I remembered from whenever I last saw it that had to do with selling women or trading women, because he leverages these women to get everyone into even more trouble, and then there's an asbestos storm. And the lithium crystals are hidden.
Yeah, it's really reminiscent of Wild West mining towns with just a few men or whatever.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Some guy rolls through with a covered wagon with women in the back, selling the women, as wives, quote unquote.
Sure. Yeah.
And sure, like maybe they get married, but does the woman really have any say? And again, it's like she says to him, and she throws it in his face, and she says what's up. Eve says what's up at the end of the episode. She's like, is this what you want? Do you want a woman to actually be your wife, to be your companion, to cry with you, to help you, to be with you for your life? Or do you just want a beautiful, selfish, vain piece of shit to look good? And she didn't say fuck, but that's what,
Yeah, well, it was 1966, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to say that on TV, but that's, and it's, and it, she's like, don't give me that shit. That's not what I'm here for. Obviously she wanted to get off her planet. I don't think she was lying about that part. She was desperate she knew she had no prospects. She wanted to find a life for herself somewhere else from, just like her 2 brothers and her dad and mom probably. But I guess because of the fucking, the gender
roles,
gender roles or whatever about the time with these people writing.
1966, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that means go find a husband, And I guess standards were lower. As long as he's not going to beat me, then cool.
Sure, that's okay. And with Ben Childish, it was hard to be sure. She had to give him the the
Yeah.
whole test and make sure that he wanted a companion and not just someone to teach him how to wash pans in the desert sandstorm.
Yeah. And I mean, Childress was a dickhead, but I got the impression that, like, from the banter between them, the two of them when they were alone, that you get the impression that it's like, well, at least they are starting to seem to form some kind of connection, and it's
They're
like,
going to discover each other's hearts of gold.
yeah.
Yeah.
I choose to believe in it. I choose to believe there's a happy ending. I choose to believe all those girls and all
I
those
think
men-
so, yeah.
Those men are like, oh man, you girls are a lot uglier than you were when we first met me. But you know what? You're still here.
We're the only people on this lump
Yeah,
of
there's-
asbestos planet.
Yeah, it's like, you want to leave? You want to stay here with me? Because I'm cool with you staying, even if you're ugly. They're like, okay, we're cool with you staying here too. Everybody's cool. Worked out. I don't know. But the whole obviously the whole like premise is gross.
The whole premise is gross, but believing
And I
in
mean-
yourself is cool.
And I mean, I think it's supposed to be even gross for 60s people. Like,
No, I think so. Yeah.
you know, because
No, I think it's very aware. Yeah.
Kirk is like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to trade women to you for lithium crystals. That's fucking wrong.
The whole time. Even when Mud mentions it, he's like, oh, Christ, no. Yeah. All of
No,
it. Yeah.
He's like, I refuse to accept this.
Yeah, I definitely think that it was supposed to, at the time, even be presented as like, oh God,
Yeah.
this is a little bit weird, and you can tell by the way the story's presented, by how greasy Mud is in his Halloween pimp costume, and with how it resolves and what the moral. It is a little unclear to me what the drugs really did, or what the nature of that Dumbo ending, but the message is clear that believing in yourself and having confidence, and also being with someone that will respect you, is more important than edible gummy drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, yeah. So, all right. Well, first, what do you think? What should the question of the week be?
Oh, for like next week?
Whatever has to, the week that this episode is going to pertain to, basically. So it'll be the question of the week leading up to this.
Maybe something about like, who is like your favorite like gross, greasy trickster character?
Like Yamagami.
Like, no, he's not gross and greasy like this. He's
I
not
know,
like,
he's a trick. I was literally just listening to us sort of, but we were sort of wondering if he could be considered a trickster character, because in the first ending theme, there's something about being a trickster. Anyway, sorry.
oh, right.
Yeah, favorite greasy original Jabba before he was a worm.
Yeah, who's your favorite gross greasy villain? They can't be like a cool villain.
Yeah. It can't be a cool villain. Wow, is Baron Harkonnen is absolutely a greasy, even both versions of him.
He counts.
Oh yes.
Okay.
All versions of Baron.
All versions of Baron Harkonnen. As the second one, the recent one is kind of cool, but definitely greasy.
Yeah, Skarsgård.
Skarsgård is Jesus.
That
That's
dude is such a good actor. He gets
oh my god.
He can be so fucking scary.
He really does a lot. He really has a range, because he can also be so fucking silly.
I know,
Yeah.
And just like good and emotional, but he can be like, yeah.
He is good in Endor too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. That's really correct. Yeah. And kind of scary. Kind of on the line in that one.
He was real good in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Oh, is he in the original ones?
He's in the one. I'm not sure about the original Swedish ones. I never saw those, but
Oh,
I mean,
so he's in the one with Bond?
he's in the one with Daniel Craig, yeah.
Okay.
Mara Rooney? Or
Yeah.
I always-
Rooney the Pace?
No, not Rumi.
One soundtrack
No, it's not.
by
Are you
Trent
sure?
Reznor.
No, it is Mara Rooney.
It's not Rumi Rapace? Numi Rapace?
Naomi Rapace, no.
Oh, wow.
No.
Wow,
Rooney
I would have gotten that wrong at
did-
Trivia Night or whatever.
I did get it backwards. She's Rooney
Oh.
Mara Rooney.
Wait. Oh. Rooney Mara.
Yeah, she's married to Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, was Rumi Rapace was the first one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Again, I
okay.
did not-
There we
I did
okay.
I did not. I
Wow.
did
Yeah.
not see the original Swedish ones.
I have that all. I have only seen the original Swedish ones,
Yeah.
so I have it all confused. And you would think that Skarsgård would be in the X out of 10 for Mud's Women.
I'll give it like. Man, it is a classic though. Mud is a funny character and he's good. He's a good villain. I'll give it like a 9.
No, I'm going to give it an 8, and I think that's. I don't know if I've gone 8.5, so I think 8 might be the highest I've gone so far. But I think that's with the greasiness and everything, I think it's a good intentioned episode, and I think it's really. I think his over the topedness in all aspects, just the performance and the character and everything about him is fun
Yeah.
to watch.
And honestly, I only found out tonight that Rainn Wilson plays the Discovery version of him, which I think is.
Oh,
awesome.
you found that out just now tonight.
Yeah, I never watched.
That's
I didn't watch
that
any Discovery.
character.
Yeah, it's the same character. Honestly, too, this dude is stuck in my head for a long time and like lived rent free in my head because I remember, when I was a kid, and he used to go to bookstores,
Yeah.
which is a thing that people don't really do anymore.
Oh boy, I remember doing that with great fondness.
Yeah, I used to go to bookstores all the time and stare at like the science fiction sections.
Oh,
there was
man.
always a section of Star Trek novels.
Yep.
And there were at least a couple Mud novels
Yeah.
with a artistic rendition of this actor's face on it.
With this mustache.
Yeah, with his mustache and these weird, like his kind of like jowls and his
Yep.
like, yeah, just like staring, like looking out smugly from the cover of a book.
Yeah, there were some extended universe Mud adventures.
Yeah, yeah, he became something of a Star Trek favorite a little bit, not on not to the degree of like, I guess some other repeat characters who would reappear, who would come, around in like TNG and.
Oh sure. Oh yeah. By TNG, there's a lot of
Yeah.
commons, common characters.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks both of you for hanging out and talking about Mud's Women.
Also, just his name, Mud with 2 D's. Mud.
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
One of the
So maybe-
Discovery episodes is really wacky.
Yeah. Presumably, so they could make a joke about his name being Mud.
Yeah. And also, but have it not look like just, plain old MUD. It actually might be some name somehow, yeah.
So that Primus song's about?
Yes.
Yes. It was about this episode of Star Trek.
Yeah, one of the Discovery episodes, he has some device that lets he keeps going back in time like 5 minutes and like fucking everything up worse and worse. We'll watch him at some point. Yeah, maybe at some point I'll curate the 2 episodes that he's in. Or maybe we'll wait until we get to Discovery. I'll keep asking you.
Have a Mud marathon.
A Mud marathon, right? Yeah.
Discovery is a long way away.
Yeah.
I'd be more. In general, I'm more willing to jump into like a random episode of like TNG, DS9, or Voyager because like those were the shows I actually spent time watching.
More than a modern thing.
Yeah, more than the modern things.
Okay.
Like, I have barely touched modern Trek TV shows.
I recommend like any of it, really.
Yeah,
Truly.
I mean,
but Lower Decks.
I've got Picard season 1 sitting on my sitting on my computer. Keep
Yeah.
meaning to get around to it.
Check it out. 1 is a little bumpy. 2 is pretty bad. 3 is great.
That's not encouraging me, but okay.
Uh,
No, I'll check out season 1 at least.
I definitely want to rewatch 3. We were starting to rewatch Picard season 2, and then we kind of started doing this TOS 3 thing instead, which I would rather be doing, but I wanted to look at season 2 just to kind of remind myself why it was so bad, and it really is just like a convoluted mess. It's just everywhere.
Yeah, I think I remember. Is that the season that Q's in a lot of it? He's
Yeah.
Q's. It's a Q season.
And it doesn't, whatever Q is doing doesn't make any sense, and they're in like 2022, and there's one of Picard's ancient grandmothers is there, and they're trying to make sure she goes on a Romulus mission, and none of it is just so. And the Borg Queen is there, of course she is, and there's and ancient Data's ancestor is there trying to clone a bunch of girls. Like, it's just too much is happening, and it's non-episodic. It's all just one 10-hour movie.
Yeah, and I mean I feel like that's almost why I don't want to watch Picard, because I know that's how they made. I'm like, okay, this is a Trek show that's actually a modern Trek. That's like a modern TV show.
You could probably
that's like a drama.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm interested, but at the same time, my brain is like, that's not Star Trek.
You're right. It's Breaking Bad.
Yeah, and it's like I'm like, okay, no, it's cool. I want to check this out, but you know, something in my brain is going like, but that's not Star Trek. This is Star Trek to me, because it's just like these little
science fiction stories. Just these little
science
stories.
fiction stories, yeah, about like one science fictional thing. This drug that makes, you know, people look super hot.
That makes people look like matches their confidence level or something.
Yeah.
You could probably get away with watching season 3 of Picard. It's more episodic, and it makes more sense, and it's more broken up into chunks, but it is still the product of the previous 2 seasons. But 3 is the best season by like 10 times.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if there's stuff that you would I'm sure you would be able to keep up with it. I don't think it like relies too heavily on the first 2 seasons, but 3 is excellent.
Yeah. If nothing else, I'll just read a quick recap. I don't care about spoiling myself.
There's so much Star Trek to watch, and anytime, I'll keep asking you if you want to watch something here and there, or if you want to watch the Mud episodes. But if you want to keep watching TOS, that's what I want to do primarily.
I want to primarily keep watching TOS. But
Cool.
I keep thinking about episodes to come that I do remember a lot of and I love, and I'm like, I'm waiting.
Let's see what's
talk
next.
about this. What's next on your list?
I'm taking a look right now.
Because I think your public, you're doing. It's not. Are
This
you watching
is
the
this
release
is
order?
this is release order. So 1966 release order is what we're watching.
All right. So what's after Months Women? Release order. I think it's Corbin Maneuver, right?
Oh my God, I've been talking about that one. Let me see. I've got pulling the list up right now. Mud's Women. Oh no, the next one on my list is What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Oh yeah, that one. I think I remember that one now too.
Nurse Christine Chappell is reunited with her old fiance on XO3, but the scientist has plans for Captain Kirk and the Federation. Huh. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what little girls are made of.
Oh, maybe I don't remember this one. I just looking at the synopsis. No, maybe I don't remember this one.
Yeah, the Corbin Maneuver is episode 10 on my list.
Yeah, you're right.
And episode 7 is what we're looking at next.
Let's see. What are some other episodes? The Dagger of the Mind.
Yeah, what's that one about?
Oh man, that one's good. I don't want to read all of them.
Yeah.
Dagger of the Mind is the first time there's a mind meld.
Oh, cool. Okay, neat. Oh man, the menagerie is coming up after Corbomite.
2-part episode. I think this is the only 2-part episode in the entire fucking series.
In the entire TOS.
Yeah.
Is that the same Pike actor?
It might be.
We'll find out. Boy, yeah, a lot of cool episodes are coming up. TOS was great. It really, really fucking was.
Oh man, and
Balance of Terror.
The Conscience of the King, Balance of Terror. Those are both good. Shore Leave is good. Shore Leave is good and also kind of goofy.
Yeah, Shore Leave is a goofy 1960s marijuana one.
Yeah.
How you feeling about TOS, Weebs?
I like it. Unfortunately, today I had to AFK for a while and do some work.
Oh, sorry.
But, yeah, it's, better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's how I usually find it, actually. For a while, for a long time in the early 2000s, I was like, oh, I'm not watching a TV show from the 60s. Especially with most of my experience being TNG.
Yeah. Dude, it's campy as fuck. It is. It's hard to get past the fact that now, 60 years later or so, it's like some of what happens is so silly.
Yeah. But I'm here for it
That's right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for it. And
I'm ready for silly shit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Arena with the Gorn is also coming up.
Oh yeah, there's so many good fucking
There are
episodes.
so many good episodes.
The
Yeah.
first season, there's a lot of good ones in the second season too. Oh man, I can't wait for the one. What is it? I think it's A Taste of Armageddon
Oh yeah.
Is
I
that
like
the
that
one
one
with-
too.
with the two planets.
Yeah,
that
they're at
having
war.
quote unquote nuclear wars,
Right.
but it's really just like all simulated, and they tell people to go walk into disintegrators.
Yep. Fucked up.
Yeah, that one's real fucked up.
It's kind of like the one where the sexy people kill you for walking on the grass.
Oh yeah, that's in TNG, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like that one, yeah. And then they have to talk themselves. They have to talk their way out of it for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert, but I do like how Days of Armageddon ends too, because they basically they spend the whole episode telling Kirk like, well, you gotta fucking march your crew into the disintegrators, or you're gonna start an actual war between us.
Yeah.
And Kirk is like, that sounds like a big old bunch of not my problem.
Oh yeah, doesn't he do fuck the Prime Directive in this case? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they've even mentioned the Prime Directive yet.
No, they don't. I
Right.
forget if Prime Directive is a thing. Like I think it's kind of, they make a huge deal about it in TNG. I don't think
Yeah.
it's much. No, it is a deal in.
Is it here? He doesn't want to fuck up their.
It is, and
their
I don't know
thing?
if they call it, I don't know if they call it Prime Directive, but I definitely remember some other
There's
episodes
some
like
shit.
about how like, okay, well we can't.
We can't fuck with this planet's evolution
can't-
and laws and stuff.
we're not
and
supposed to fuck
culture.
There's one episode. There's one really weird episode where they go to like a gangster planet,
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
they're
Yes.
and they're like, this is why we have a Prime Directive.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Right.
Because of the gangster planet. I mean, not because of the gangster planet, but this is an example. This is a really good example of why we have the Prime Directive. I'm pretty sure it's discussed at some point in.
I bet it is. I bet it's discussed right in that episode.
Yeah.
But he does in Taste of Armageddon. He gets very Janeway about it, and the whole thing in TNG with Wesley walking on the grass is that Picard refuses. Picard is like, no, I must.
Yeah.
We must stick to the laws of the place and not just whatever. Picard. Actually, something he says in that episode that I adore is, there can be no justice when the law is absolute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Picard.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, that story is, a really heavy-handed kind of
Yeah.
anti-death penalty kind
Yeah.
of story. Yeah, no, I looked up the Memory Alpha Prime Directive thing. There's so many episodes where they literally
TOS?
say in TOS where they
Okay.
say, this applies to the Prime Directive.
Okay.
And again, even if I'm not even sure if they use the words Prime Directive necessarily,
Right.
but
Okay.
they say you can't interfere.
Yep.
You're not supposed to interfere with pre-warp civilizations. Yeah, but I mean, those guys with the disintegrator rooms, they're like, this doesn't count because
Yeah, because you're being ridiculous.
Because you're trying to kill us.
Yeah, that's
So
insane.
we're allowed to prime directive right up until you try to kill us.
Yeah.
In which case,
we're out of here. Fuck off.
yeah, we are allowed to try to not get killed by you. The prime directive allows us to try to avoid getting killed by you. So.
Yeah, I think with Picard and Wesley, Picard is literally like, we could just teleport him out of here and leave, but we're not going to because we're going to talk it out because of the Prime Directive. And Wesley's like, fuck you.
He's like, but I'm going to die. What the fuck?
Picard's like, shut up, Wesley. I like Star Trek a lot.
Yeah, man. All right.
Yeah, great.
So I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, I got a lot of driving around and shit to do tomorrow, but obviously I will talk to both of you guys pretty soon.
All right.
Yeah,
Take care.
thanks again. Yeah, have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.
Hope everyone's
Night.
doing good. Peace.
Like you're still coming fresh out of high school and going into this stuff, so you're still like 18 when you're becoming a cadet, right? If not younger. So like, what age are you graduating as a
Mostly.
professional doctor or whatever, right? Like, and having this additional knowledge, and like, it's a lot of knowledge that you're being expected to pick up, because they need what we know now plus stuff that they've discovered since, right?
Yeah, I guess. Do you just go straight to Starfleet Medical, or do you go to a normal medical school for 4 years and then?
Well, and that's what I'm
get-
wondering, right?
Yeah.
And especially, say I'm being just a normal doctor, I still need to understand some xenobiology for aliens that are living on Earth, especially as, like in the later series, right? Like there's Vulcans just living on Earth, and if they get sick, they need a doctor, and there's not going to be necessarily, like, this is the one Klingon doctor on the entire planet, right?
Klingons don't have to go to the doctor. They have redundant organ systems.
But you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
like,
no, I don't. Well, I mean, they do have to go to the doctor because
Yeah.
they need to have themselves executed from time to time.
and like, don't get me wrong, I respect that in a lot of cases. Like, it comes up in TNG season 1, there's an episode where Picard gets a headache and they're freaking the fuck out because, like, you've got
You're not supposed to get a headache.
a headache. Like, headaches don't exist nowadays. You know, like, they have this whole. And I get it, but like, if that's the case, like, does that mean that they just don't learn how to treat, what we consider minor and regular, like the common cold? And instead of learning how to do like the common cold, they're taught how to extract the redundant systems of a Klingon from their internal setups. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
It's
I
just-
wonder. We don't get a lot of hard science on what diseases have been cured, like what is stuff they don't have to think about because their routine, whatever vaccinations or medical adjustments take care of. But I would imagine that immune systems generally are probably quite strengthened in this universe.
I would expect so, but there's still going to be a large amount of stuff that, like, as a doctor, I would
Well,
expect
learning
them to be-
about many different races, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, but I'd expect them to be able to do surgery on a lot of stuff, and
Right.
that's going to require you to know where everything is and how much of it is computer led versus how much of it is stuff that they're actually taught and tested on in schools. And do they have, like, a year where they have to take a course on each of the individual specific races that they're likely to run into? Is there, like, Andorian Physiology 101 that you have
Oh,
to take
definitely.
in conjunction with Klingon physiology and Vulcan? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
God, there would be no end to it though, because
yeah. So how much longer? How much longer is school now? Or are you coming? Do you have to have a minimum level of medical proficiency before you can even go into the medic corps? Or you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of questions that I've
Well-
always had about the education system and becoming a Starfleet officer.
There is, well, so there is a reason that many humanoid species, and again, I just mentioned the Klingons, and, you know, obviously we just saw McCoy refer to Spock's heart as being like kind of where a kidney or the lower lung would be, and I don't know exactly how canon that is as far as coming into the modern age, but there is a reason that, like, the same foods, at one point Beverly Crusher mentions that, you know, poisons that kill Klingons kill us, and that the same foods are usually safe to eat among humanoid species, and that there are a lot of similarities between all of the humanoid species of this galaxy.
Yeah, but that's also just for ease of writing for the creators of the show.
Well, it's addressed. There was a progenitor race that went around dropping their DNA on all these different planets in this galaxy.
Valid.
So
I don't know.
That's something. So, like, but still, yeah, if someone's heart is on their fucking hip and someone's genitals are in their kneecaps in an undiscovered country, then stuff can be all over the place, really.
Well, yeah. And, like, I'm looking at it from the perspective of, by the time we hit, like, the 23rd, 24th, like, 2400s, like, the TNG, DS9, Voyager era.
Yeah.
Because, again, as
I mean, they didn't even know
that is the era I know the best, right?
They didn't even know what Trill were in TNG.
No, but, like, how many races of beings have they encountered and are
like,
canonically
hundreds
active?
at this point. Hundreds, yeah.
And so, yeah, you'd still have to know all of that. You'd have to know things like where every single one of them's organs are, because it's not like, I get it for like regular stuff, it's not a big deal because you can just look it up and then go do it. But if you've got emergencies happening on a starship specifically, you've got someone who's dying, you need to know where their heart is.
You need a guy that knows where everyone's heart is.
And so, like, Crusher doesn't have time, for example, to, like, look up how do I manage, you know, this guy's internal organ structure when it's all not there. Like, so is it AR? Does the computer overlay it with the additional data while you're in mid-surgery of, like, what you're looking at by scanning and, like, AIing it?
I hope not. Although, unless there is some system of... Because there is a basic framework and there is an extent to which all these races are slightly related, unless they go from that and there is like, yeah, unless basically the approach is completely different, where you approach the similarities, you know, all of these human species are gonna have, and then you start from there and then figure out where their organs are gonna be, and hopefully, you know, Beverly Crusher at least knows about who are the blue guys.
The Andorans or the Bolians?
Bolians. You know, you hope the Barber's a Bolian. I'm trying to think of characters on the Enterprise. You hope she knows about Bolians. You hope she knows about Klingons, you know.
Well, then that adds a new question then. What about the half Klingons, half humans, and how does that change their physiology?
Yeah.
And then what information do we have on mixed race? In that, like, specifically in that, like, kind of mixed race, not like the mixed race that we deal with in modern society, but like, you've got someone who's half Vulcan, half human, i.e. Spock.
Yeah, so is his heart supposed to be in his ass, but because he's half human, it made it halfway up?
Like, how do we know? We don't, and that's what I'm wondering. So, like, that's
really weird.
I get it if maybe the med bay has some AR functionality, and that's why you have to get them back to sick bay, because like those med beds are pretty high tech looking.
Sure.
Granted, that is the point, but like, you know what I mean? Like, they look like that would be a thing, especially come Voyager, the way that they're set up. That looks like a thing that makes sense to me. But at the same time, then what about when there's just an emergency and you have to go down to engineering and try and save this guy who has been in a plasma fire?
Yeah,
before
and can't
he
be
dies.
moved. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you have to know that stuff. And again, how much of it is medical training? How much of it is AI from the computer helping out? How, like, I'm really, and specifically it's the medical core. It's the doctoring that really has me, like, there's a little bit of question for engineering too, just because, again, it's a lot of high math that's like, I'd expect it would take an extra couple of years to teach, just because of like based
Oh.
off of today, unless humans just are exponentially smarter in the future.
I don't think this show has not. None of these shows have caused me to think that humans are smarter.
Exactly.
I've often said that, like, really, like, what this show. One of the biggest points of this show, or one of my biggest takeaways from it, and I guess I'm talking about TNG, but all of the 90s shows, is that humans will never finish anything. Every piece of technology and everything we're working with is always going to go haywire.
Yeah.
Because because half the time we haven't perfected the science or the technology we're using, and the other half of the time the people using it have no idea how it works. So it really is just humankind has stopped evolving because the technology is evolving, and the only reason anything's working is our very limited grasp that continues to become slipperier as the technology evolves. And that's why some people end up coming apart inside the transporter.
Oh, transporters. But yeah, so that's basically that's something that I've always had as like a background semi-shower thought about Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotta. Yeah, I almost feel like learning the engineering of the starship is probably not as complicated as being a medical officer or someone, or even a xenolinguist, or anyone that actually has to deal with alien species and other worlds. I feel like the engineers are. I mean, they're really the engineers we meet on the show. Geordi and Scotty and are some, and Miles are incredibly skilled and smart and capable, but. You just got to be skilled and smart and capable. It's like it's learning the systems and learning the processes. Whereas if you're a doctor, who the fuck knows what you're gonna see?
Yeah, and like xenolinguistics as well. Like that's no longer a concern once you get outside of like TOS era stuff, right? So like Discovery, it matters a bit in Discovery. It matters a little bit in Enterprise. It matters in TNG. The original series. I think Strange New Worlds it would matter, and once you get outside of that era, they have the universal translators by the time we hit TNG, right? So like it doesn't matter anymore.
They usually work.
Yeah, and the times that it doesn't, it's usually that the language doesn't resemble language as we know it until we've encountered it and we can analyze it. And by the next time we've run into that species, it's been analyzed and it's in the universal translator matrix at that point, right? So like. It's not a real issue because the computer has the AI capabilities and the power to do it, right? To figure it out.
Yeah.
It really is just the doctoring and what real skills a person has to have while they're actively dealing with something without computer assistance, because there is times that no computer assistance is available. We've seen it. TNG early on has Crusher falling through something and Picard's trying to like splint and maintain her life while he's got zero tools to do it. Like,
yeah,
if she was an alien, it's suddenly very different. He's very lucky that it's a human doctor he's dealing with, let alone anything else, right? So, I don't know. It's just something that's always been on my mind, and especially again with the medical core. The rest of it, I can usually figure out how it would work. It makes sense-ish, but the medical core is just like, no, that's just...
It's too much to learn.
It is! It is way too much for one person to learn all that. There's no way.
Yeah, I think, they're probably... When you go through Starfleet Medical, you probably learn, humans, Vulcans, Klingons, maybe Bolians, maybe the other blue guys, the fish guys,
Yeah. Yeah, I expect you'd learn the major quote-unquotes,
They sort of forgot about Andorians in TNG. There's a couple races that kind of just weren't in TNG, the Orions.
TNG really got into the Bolians, specifically, and the
Ferengi. Yeah,
they did a lot of Bolian, Ferengi, and Romulan. They were really fixating on the Romulans were arguably the main enemy in TNG, although it didn't... That's the series as a whole didn't really have a big bad. The way the series of the TOS movies, I was talking about how the Klingons are really kind of the big bad through the TOS movies. Yeah.
Which is why it's great that Worf is there and when TNG starts.
Yeah, no, I feel like the closest that TNG really had to an overarching villain was Q. Are we recording,
sure.
by the way? Because
Okay.
it's all really good content for the podcast, in case you aren't.
Yeah, we're recording. What did you think about Ben Childress? In my
I don't know.
previous notes, I wrote "fuck Ben Childress" at the top of the page.
I think it's a pretty good, because like he comes off like very shallow and rapey, and then
Yep.
angry, and
like off-puttingly angry for no reason. Like there's
You're not hot. Fuck you. Like, dude,
you
come
sold
on.
us ugly women. I am outraged. It bizarre. Like
Yeah.
like I don't know, even know. Like there may
Yeah.
be certain sensibilities here that were at least, if not commonplace, at least kind of like, oh, well, that's what men are like, in a 60s kind of attitude. But like, there are a lot of things in this episode that are just like, come on.
Yeah, no.
At this point now, and yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that during it a bit too, where it's like now the sensibilities have clearly changed. I think that's part of why it's getting such a low mark. It's uncomfortable watching this episode at some points.
Yeah, the weird homemaking scene, and we're out of order at this point, but the scene where Childress and Evie are like hanging out for a little while, and he's just like being irate and like pissed off at her, and he's like, he says like, yeah, you're as plain as an old bucket, and you're about as fun to talk to, or something. Like he's mad that she's not like fun to talk to, or like he's pissed off that she's doing chores for him. It's just like this weird.
Picture him being like, give me a time that it is okay to say that about a person you barely know. You
Yeah.
are plain and ugly, get out. Like, come on.
And he keeps saying, I didn't, like, he wants to make sure that, like, he's not going to get a bill. He keeps saying, I never touched her. I haven't, claimed this woman that you're trying to sell me. I can still return her. There's so much weird. And like I was saying, it's not like, there's nothing like super sexist or super offensive, and it's not like there's slaves that are chained up. It's just like,
It's
there's
just
a lot of
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable, weird shit, and people being dicks for no reason, and people just either enthralled at the beauty of these women, or like feeling like it's almost like people who go, women shouldn't wear makeup because what makeup is like lying to men, right?
Yeah, but those are also the same guys who want you to have like full face all the time.
Sure.
Those are the
it is-
guys who just don't know what makeup actually does and don't understand that no, it's just enhancing the features,
And it's just that kind of like sour attitude and just sort
Yeah.
of bullying or even just bullish kind of bullshit.
Oh, it was just weird. I don't have a better word for it. The whole episode was just weird. I think it was the most uncomfortable Star Trek episode I've seen ever. And I forgot how this episode was. Like, I just did not remember it well enough. And yeah. Ugh. Mud too, like the really terrible pirate accent, and he's a fun guy, but even he wasn't as fun as I remember him being. Like what I remember of Harvey Mudd from back in the day, I think it's probably mostly because it's Tribbles, but I don't remember him
And
being
that was-
that.
We discussed this, but we both
It wasn't him with Tribbles, was it?
we both had that memory though, so I think it must be who was that African guy? Mandela timeline thing.
You think it's a Mandela effect?
Well, I definitely remembered Harry Mudd being in the Tribbles episode until Chaos told us that it was he told us when he told me the name of the character, I was like, oh yeah, but I think I might have remembered hearing that name on Deep Space Nine. But
Maybe.
I also had a memory of Harry Mudd being in the Tribbles episode.
And I think that's part of where my issues are coming from. Like, I don't remember him being this character that we've gotten to run into here.
And this one is
At all.
creepy.
He is.
He is
No,
fun.
he-
He's got the pirate accent. He's being like, James T. Kirk will be taking orders from Harcourt Fenton Munn. He's over the top. His delivery is great. The performance is great.
Yeah,
But
no, 100%.
it's not totally a fun... Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
glad we watched it.
definitely being weird.
Yeah, I'm glad we've watched it, but like again, I did not realize where like how this episode was done compared to like what I'm looking for in Star Trek now, right? Like, and watching it, I said it to you during the episode too. I'm kind of this kind of an episode. It makes me surprised that the show lasted to a degree, you know, like that they didn't get canceled or that people like it got the popularity it did. If this is the stuff that's coming out, there's a lot of early sexism episodes like where they're looking at it in very different ways.
There are definitely a lot of sexism themed episodes.
And so the best guess I've got at this point, like increasingly, is that it's the art imitating life thing, right? Where like this was a real issue because it was sexism and racism were very big back in the 60s. We're talking like this came out a couple of years after the Martin Luther King situation,
sure.
You know, so there's going to be a lot of that civil rights and personal rights going on in the States when this is relevant, you know? So I get it, but also just was not expecting it, you know?
Sure, totally. Cyrano Jones is the name of the character,
That's
rogue character that's in the Trouble with Tribbles episode. But there is another episode with Mudd.
Yeah, Mudd.
Mudd, and this time he has a bunch of female robots with him, but we'll see if that's a different we'll see how different that is from this episode when we get there.
It really makes me wonder why all of those, because like I think he's only in like 2 episodes, and I've got it in my head that he's in like 7 or 8.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. Some Mandela thing. Yeah.
I wonder what causes it that all of the roguish characters are being lumped into Harvey Mudd.
He may just be one of the most recognizable. I mean, I really think this performance is great. I mean, it is over the top. It doesn't even always fit tonally when he's talking to Kirk. And he really is a scumbag villain.
He is.
You know, like woman dealing, drug supplying, like lying, you know, trying to take over the ship, you know, brokering a deal outside of the authorities so that he is able to be released after doing crimes. So, you know, all of the, like, he is an asshole, but the actor does a great job. He's got a ridiculous mustache. His costume is very funny.
Oh yeah, no, he's ridiculous. He is ridiculous. He acts ridiculous. Like everything about him is ridiculous, which should be disarming. And maybe that's adding some to the creep factor of it, because you know this charming, bumbling, ridiculous man is selling women for, you know, marriage and sex and stuff, and that might be, I don't know, that might be part of the goal. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't quite fit together, I think, can be said about this one.
Yeah, that could be again leading to the lower ratings on the episode overall. Like,
yeah.
I think there is a lack of coherence in some respects with the episode. Like, it kind of was a little bit less all over the place while still not making sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because there is stuff that really doesn't kind of... Maybe it's not that it doesn't make sense, but it just doesn't seem to... I already said that it doesn't fit together, but yeah, it doesn't jive. Like, just like the miners are so... The miners come and they're like, we've contacted Harry Mudd, give us these women, we're gonna let your ship's gonna fall apart in 3 days, which, by the way, we talked about that, like... Yeah, we don't know what the deal is at this point and how the story was being imagined in the writers' minds, but another starship can't get there within 3 days.
Yeah,
They're
that
so
was
far.
The deal was, we'll give you the women, you give us the dilithium crystals, and they're like, thanks for the women, now go die. Like,
exactly.
Why are you?
And then
why
Childress
are you,
is like, no, I'm not going to give them to you. We've got the women. Fuck you.
And that also, like, even just
like,
that
why?
feels like a really dumb thought process from this random miner who doesn't have starships, who can't affect starships, and is now pissing off Starfleet, like one of the largest military organizations in the quadrant. You're all like, you know what? Fuck you. We're gonna steal from your ship, and you can go screw yourself. Like, that feels like fucking with America and asking for a nuke. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? It's just poor decision making. Why would you push against someone like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's even Kirk even mentions it that they're going to need medical supplies. They need supplies from they're being supplied by Starfleet. So
Yeah.
they're just like, well, we heard there's some very attractive women, and also something that we mentioned all the time during the episode.
How everyone kept like staring at them. It's like, you guys have Rand and you've got Uhura. There's two really hot chicks on your ship. What the fuck?
So it's that sort of, again, almost like a 1960s, 1950s idea of men on a ship somewhere that haven't seen women in 15 years or something. That's how everyone reacts. And the miners, they are alone. There's like 8 of them down there on this. Well, I guess there's 3 of them.
The miners' reaction makes more sense than the.
But they haven't even seen the women. They just got told on the phone that there are women that exist, and then when the miners see them, they're like, okay. At first they fight over them, but very quickly Childress is like, wait a minute. I'm mad that it turned out my woman was ugly. Although she seems like, it's hard to even know. I'm so like all over the place right now.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's hard to even know what Evie like wants, because she tries to seduce Kirk, and then she's like, I can't do it. I don't know what she was supposed to do. I guess steal his communicator, but she did do that. And then when she gets down there, they're fighting over one of the other women, and she is the one who's like, I don't like this fake thing that I'm presenting myself as young and beautiful when I don't think we've even mentioned that they're on drugs that make them that way, which actually, well, we'll get to the weird Dumbo thing, but wow, where the fuck was I? Yeah. So then she's the one that like doesn't want to be fake attractive, what men want. But then when the men are fighting over the other women, she gets so upset that she runs off into the dust storm to die, perhaps. It has to be. But Kirk doesn't, and Kirk goes out to find her, and Harry Mudd. They don't. She ends up with Childress, who is mad that she's ugly now. It's just so much of it doesn't jive.
It's
so weird.
It's an episode of stereotyping. It's an episode to be all like, this is what women must want. They can't want anything else. It's the 60s. Screw you. This is clearly what men want. They can't, like, it came up with, like, again, there was the whole, here's hot chicks on the starship that has hot chicks all the time. Yeah. Clearly all the men must shut down and think with their glands. Now, and like, you've got these guys who have been alone for God knows how long on this remote planet, who apparently can't clean after themselves. Like, I'm sorry,
they don't.
I refuse to believe that they can't figure out how to wash a fucking pot without water. Like,
they're men. They don't wash.
Like, it's
clean. They don't know how to run a kitchen.
It's that over and over again for the entire episode.
Yeah, and it really is.
And like if you're suspending disbelief and imagining, okay, now this is modern day, okay, fine, maybe, but this is also supposed to be some utopian future. And so, how is this a utopian future? How is this utopian at all? Like, good episode overall. If they weren't relying on such heavy-handed stereotyping. It could be a very good episode. It just wasn't.
Yep. I don't know. I was gonna say, I probably used the word off-putting. I was gonna say I don't know if I've used the word off-putting while we've been discussing it in this portion, but I mean that is what it is like. And not even, I don't know. I don't want to say like it's off-putting to a modern sensibility, but there's just some of the sudden anger or annoyance that some of the characters are having because of their very male or very female stereotypical
responses to everything.
It's just it gets uncomfortable.
No, both of us ended up getting pretty quiet about how. Usually we don't talk a lot, but we make comments pretty consistently throughout when we're watching these episodes. And both of us spent like a good 10 minutes today just not saying anything. Because like there's nothing. It was all just the same over and over again. There's nothing outside of just these weird moments of sexism or sex slavery or whatever. And like I'm gonna jump to the very end of it where she's been found. She's at Childress's house. Childress is taking a nap. He wakes up. I didn't touch you. What are you doing? And she's making him food. Like, she says, like, you know, you saved my life. I figured a repayment of some chores would be nice. Like, that is such a small thing to have done. And I get where she's coming from. There's not much else she can do yet. She needs to talk to him. But, like, she's made you a nice meal, and he basically ignores it, says, I've eaten better, I've made better. Like, why are you combative with this woman who is doing you a nice thing after you've just spent, like, risked your own life to save her? Like, why? How is that a reasonable response, you know?
Yeah, and the answer is sort of that her Venus drugs have worn off.
Yeah.
But, and again, I think it might Evie's motivations might be what confuses me the most, because
because they've made her, what they've done is they've made her a very two-dimensional character. The only motivation she has is she wants to get married off so she can be with somebody, and that is the only thing she cares about.
So that she can be a wife to someone, and but then she's also like, you don't want a wife to be your companion, you just want me to be young and hot, so
yeah. And, like, that's the thing. It is leaning heavily into that, again, back in the 40s and 50s and 60s, the whole women should only want to be birthers and care for a home and nothing else. And that there was a resurgence of that following World War II, when more women were trying to get back out and to, like, stay in the workplace after the men came home and got well enough to take over their previous work, right? A lot of women wanted to stay in the workplace. They wanted to continue being independent, but it wasn't something that they were allowed to do. And I feel like some of that is being commented on in here as well with the Evie situation, where she's like, all she wants is to be like a wife, to take care of this home, to take care of a person, blah, 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 blah. But she's not really looking past that. And then once she's getting turned down because her worth is completely tied to her beauty and whether or not she can be a wife, she's finally seeing, like, well, maybe this isn't, like, blindly jumping into whatever marriage I can get. Maybe isn't the best of choices. Maybe I should think for myself a bit more. But also, that's the end of the episode, so I don't get to learn anything.
Yeah, it's weird to me that she does, you know, she does express that she wants to make her own choices, that she wants a man that wants a companion and not just her because she's young and beautiful. But then the ending is that you didn't need the drugs to go there. You were young and beautiful the whole time. And then she's like, look, Childress is looking at me again, so I'm happy. We're both happy. We're going to stay and work it out. So it's like, even though she doesn't, but basically, she ends up with a somewhat happy ending because she turns out to be young and beautiful after all, which seems to clash with a lot of with what she wants and a lot of other things in the episode. It all seems to clash with itself.
Yeah, no, it feels like they were trying to make some pretty sweeping social commentary, and it it missed the mark. Maybe they didn't have enough time to do it. Maybe there was rewrites that they had from, like, producers or something, and that got in the way of it. I don't know.
Could have been rewrites.
Yeah, I don't know, but they just missed the mark, and it felt like they were trying to hit something important, and then just did not succeed.
We know that you want to be independent and have companionship, and well, good news. The power to be young and beautiful was inside you all along, and that's all you needed. It doesn't work. That being the ending does not work for me. No,
confidence is hot. Therefore, you're hot if you're confident. But also, literally, you better actually be hot.
Yeah, but it helps if you're actually hot.
No, it was. I don't know. It was okay. I just feel like maybe it feels like there should have been two separate episodes to do. I think if they had have broken it apart and maybe done, like, two separate stories, it might have been better, because it feels like it's almost the same idea, but, like, done two ways, and they were trying to make it work together, maybe. So it's like if, like, two very similar episodes had been written and then mashed together, almost, you know?
Almost, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm with you.
And, like, a good example, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3, where, like, it's the same idea, right? Where it's like, here's this really cool story about Venom, and here's this really cool story about Sandman, and now we're going to do both of them at the same time.
Yes.
and it just doesn't work. And it feels like more similar, obviously, but like they were looking at doing two social commentaries about women and beauty and them being used as sex slaves, and they just try to put the whole thing together, and it just didn't quite. They tried to they were maybe they were 2 short episodes. They were trying to make 1 full episode, but there's just something missing, you know?
Yeah, it does. It feels like there is like a lot of commentary, and a lot of the dialogue here is trying to actually say something, but it doesn't feel like it's all saying the same thing, and it becomes, yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's getting a high mark for me. I think IMDb is right. I think it is not a great episode, especially when you compare some of the stuff we've been watching up to now, right?
Yeah,
like,
some of the stuff has been excellent.
Yeah. So I don't think it's going to get... I don't think it'd be a good high number for me on this one. I think I'm going to be honest and be a little bit more... Like, I don't know if I'd go below 6, but definitely that 6 to 6.5 range. Like, I don't think it was great. I think IMDb is pretty accurate on it, but I think they're still giving it a little bit more favor than it deserves, you know?
I'll give it a 6. I think is that my lowest? I don't think I've gone... Actually, no, I gave Charlie a 5, but that was really...
a couple of 5s, yeah.
Did I adjust? I adjusted Charlie, right? Or no?
The numbers I've got are for Charlie, you gave it a 6. But you gave 5s to Where No Man Has Gone Before in The Naked Time.
Wow. I've been giving out... I felt like the other ones... Well, I mean, 5 is not low.
No, 5 is mid-range.
Okay. I recall... I think I may have adjusted the Charlie one, because I might have been like 5 for Charlie because of Charlie.
Yeah, no, you hated Charlie.
Actually, but I mean, I think that episode is good. That episode deserves more than a 6. I believe... Yeah...
I'm not changing it. I want to keep your true reaction from the day of, right?
Yeah, good. Because I don't think... I'm not sure if Gary deserves a 5, but I can definitely see myself giving Where No Man Has Gone Before a 5. Especially right after Charlie X.
Well, that's part of it. Is it was 2 very similar episodes back to back.
I'll tell you what. Please continue. Please finish.
Sorry. It was 2 very similar episodes back to back, and I think that was, if I remember correctly from the conversation, that was impacting your rating for it. Like, you were rating it based off of where it was in the play order as well.
Yep.
So, what were you wanting to say? You had something you wanted to add?
I'm gonna go with IMDb. Is it 6.5?
For which one?
This episode.
This
Mud's
episode
Women.
was a 6.7.
Are we allowed to do 0.7?
Yeah, I just don't do it because it's easier. Like, I don't see a point to it.
We usually do 0.5. We've always done 0.5 so far, right?
I've done 0.5s, yeah.
All right, let's stay. I mean, we're allowed to do whatever we want, but I'm going to put this at 6.5.
Valid.
If you want to put, if you want to get so detailed, if your opinion is so precise about one of these, and you want to give it like a 8.33 repeating, that's fine with me.
Yeah, no, like, right now...
If you want to get irrational numbers up in here, that's all right, too.
I think I'm giving this one a 6 overall.
Okay.
I see myself sticking to the halves. It's just easier.
Sure. I like that, yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think a solid 6. It's not a bad attempt at an episode. It just is not a great episode. It's mid at best. You know what I mean? That's
sure.
Where I look at it. 5 is mid. 5 is firmly mid. I'd say it's a little bit better than that. There is some of it that I did like. There wasn't much, but there's some stuff that I do like. So I'd say it's a firmly mid. It's not good. It's not terrible.
What do you think about the fact that the ship's computer, played by Michelle Barrett, can tell whenever the men around it are horny?
Oh, that was a thing. I mean, it makes sense. If the ship's computer can scan and check for, like,
lies,
breath patterns and heat and all that stuff, lies.
And it was doing that at the time.
It was. It makes sense. But still...
She really lets them have it. You guys
Stop
are all
thinking with
horny
your-
as shit.
Stop thinking with your glands should not be the tagline for the series. I'm sorry.
Boy, McCoy really needs to stop thinking with his glands. He's always got that
He's really
ready
bad
to go
for-
look
yeah.
on his face, man. He's
Ooh, women.
missing that salt vampire.
I loved McCoy too. This is not helping my opinions of him. Like, McCoy was always one of my favorites, and then this has happened. But yeah,
Did you
did I what?
see the episode where he shows up on TNG?
Yes, it's literally the first episode.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, he is.
He's on Farpoint?
He's not on Farpoint. So,
Oh.
and it felt really, really random. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I
I
was
did
watching,
not think
when I was
I did
watching
not think it
Farpoint.
was the first episode. Oh my god.
Yeah, when I was watching Farpoint, this felt really random how they did it. But basically, at some point, they need to move. They need to go somewhere, and they can't because they're waiting for Data to get back because he's got to shuttle this admiral around because the admiral won't take.
Won't take the teleporter. Yeah, okay.
And so they then cut to the 140-year-old
Yeah.
McCoy, Admiral McCoy, from Starfleet, teaching because he is a teacher at that point in his history. They cut to him and Data walking down like the Enterprise, and then it's over, and you never hear about it again.
Does he even
and it
have a
was-
line?
He does. They
Okay.
say a couple things. It's nothing serious, but like it's like a couple little back and forths about like whatever it was. I don't remember now. It felt like inane banter in a
Sure.
weird. It felt like a cameo for cameo's sake. It didn't feel like it fit the episode. It felt like
Boy.
they were doing it just to have a tie into the original series. Be like, hey nerds, look, we still got him. You know, like it felt like one of those.
Yeah, and that's probably exactly what it was. And I'm really surprised that he was in. I guess I'm just surprised that I don't recall that was a part of Encounter at Farpoint, because there's like they meet up with like Riker and Data and stuff before actually going on to Jellyfish Farpoint planet.
It's
Maybe.
LaForge, Wesley, Crusher, and Riker. Data's on the ship.
Oh, okay. I guess I haven't seen this in a very long time, obviously.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't rewatch season 1, so
Right,
of course
yeah.
not.
I guess I should. Well, I guess I'm gonna.
Yeah, when we get there, a couple of years from now. But no, it's they land like the episode is with them all on the planet and the ship is on its way there, and for like they wanted to warp or head there faster or something, but they had to wait for Data to get back from whatever he like taking McCoy wherever he was going, and that was a slowdown. Like I think if I remember correctly, it was something maybe with like Riker. I just watched this a few months ago, but like with Riker asking them to hurry up, kind of thing, because he had figured out or run into the weirdness with the matter creation.
Right. Yeah.
Because they had like the jellyfish could create matter, right? Like out of nothing, and yeah, no, like that first episode, man. There's so many little things. Like there was the first Q. Was that episode was Q?
That's mostly what I remember. Because I feel like I don't know if they revisit the whole courtroom thing or if I've just seen the first part of it a couple times, but yeah, what I remember is Q. I barely remember whatever's going on with the jellyfish, and there's like a weird old man that's their caretaker or something, and Riker is receiving apples or something.
Yeah, no, that was what it was. It was he's in the episode is one of the first scenes. It's Riker's in a meeting with this old man, and the old man offers him a bowl of fruit, and is like, "Would you like one?" And he's like, "Nah, you don't have any apples. It's fine." And
Yes.
then there's a bowl full of apples,
'cause he
where
wished
the
for
other
them.
bowl had been.
Do you want to hear an anecdote about Riker and fruits?
Sure.
There's an episode where he's hanging out with Luxana Troy, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure exactly. But they're having like a picnic, and she's got like some lettuce, and she's describing to him that it's it's some vegetable from Beta Z, and it has these veins in it that are filled with like a warm sap that is like, very, you can feel the warmth of it. She's talking about how sensual it is to eat this vegetable and stuff, right? But it's like a leaf of lettuce that she's talking about the veins in it and stuff. And someone on the set made her, changed, some script supervisor or something came in and gave her a leaf of lettuce to do this scene with, because originally she was supposed to have a cucumber that she was saying these things about how warm the sap in his throbbing veins were.
Oh, that's so weird. They over sexualized the Beta Zeds in that.
Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
god! Oh my god! That's
It was an unnecessarily sexualized.
They always wanted to be naked and have naked Beta Z ceremonies, and
Well, that's why she did so well with the Ferengis, right? Because oh look, a woman who knows her place.
kinda. The episode with her and the Ferengi is pretty. I recall it being relatively quick. I mean, she gets kidnapped, obviously, but like the Ferengi approach her and they're trying to purchase her, and one of them is probably saying something like, "Every woman has her price." I don't remember, but I remember that being like a particularly. I mean, obviously they kidnap a couple women, so they're bad guys. But just there's something about that whole. There's something about that whole vibe of people purchasing and trading women and people in general.
Well, I mean, again, Star Trek's always been about trying to portray a utopian future, and they've always wanted to comment on what's happening socially that is not that, right? And sex trafficking and human trafficking have always been a big thing. Yep. They've been a problem for millennia, so it's not a surprise that the show would want to touch on that,
Yeah,
given that that's what the whole point of the show is, trying to promote that non-awful future.
It's really interesting that they really did end up redeeming the Ferengi as a whole, but they still kept them fucking sexist as hell the entire time. They wanted us to. If you want us to like Quark, you have to redeem the species as a whole. Yeah. End of story, and that's what they did. They were like, well, we want to put this Ferengi on this show, and have him own a bar. So how do we do that? Oh, we got to make the species not awful. Eventually, they let a woman go to work on Ferenginar, one woman. Yeah. She fought hard too. It's really. I mean, and that's how it is redeemed, by showing the struggle of their women. And the suffragette movement succeeding is how they redeemed them. Well, good for them. The Ferengi are awful. They are. I will say this though. Lower Deck spoilers. When Armin Shimmerman comes in season 4, that was nice, and I was very pleased that he actually wore his teeth to make sure he still sounded like Quark. Oh yeah, is that? I think you told me about that. Yeah, that's exceedingly cute. I love it. I love that he did that. I think it's such a smart play, and you can hear it. You can hear the teeth. You can hear the slight mumbliness of trying to talk around them, and I love it. It really would not have sounded right without them. So I'm pleased that he did it. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great touch to that episode. Yeah. No, Lower Decks is definitely done a really good job. Modern Star Trek in general, from what I'm hearing, is overall pretty solid. Yeah, incredible. Have you watched Picard? I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. Picard season 2 might be my least favorite thing of everything new. Oh, really? Yeah, but Picard season 3 is excellent, and season 1 is the reason I started watching new Star Trek at all. I watched Picard season 1 before I watched Discovery. So, I mean, it got me into it, but I don't think it's particularly strong. It really... Picard is over now. It's the 3 seasons that exist. It's done, yeah. They're just incredibly... The whole Borg as a whole, and also Data and just all of the plot elements involving Data and or the Borg are doing incredible heavy lifting in all 3 of those seasons. Like, it's almost just like if there's ever anything they need an explanation for or something, it's Borg and there's 15 Datas and all of this is, and it's I don't know.
So it's not really Picard, it's Data. The show is really more of a Data show than a Picard show.
That show, all 3 seasons of that show, really, that show, I mean, honestly, if you ask me who the main character of Picard is, it is Data.
Okay.
It is Data's story, the whole thing. Like, beyond belief. That show should be called Data.
We haven't watched any of it yet, so...
I recommend it anyway. Season 2 is just... It just rewrites. It's such a mess. It's so much just... Well, this is happening because the Borg are here. They're doing the same sort of... We're in the past and the Borg are there and we're going to fuck up the history of the human race. Like, it's like they already did it. And, like, there's a billionaire tech bro Spiner. Like, it just... So much of it is... Like, what are you doing? It doesn't have to be like this.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a mess. Again, nothing in season 2 of Picard jives. It seems like too many people as writers, doing too many different things that fundamentally do not come together. But season 3 is excellent.
Well, we'll get there.
Okay. Picard on the whole is great. New Trek is great.
No, I'm fond of what I've seen. Like, I really enjoyed what I saw of Strange New Worlds. I just didn't see much of it, you know? The only one I haven't liked is Discovery and, well, Prodigy, but that's not really Star Trek.
Yeah, I found out that an actress that played a character I really liked was on Prodigy.
Yeah, I saw you post about it in your Discord earlier.
Yeah.
I saw your comment about it earlier on Discord.
I'm gonna end up covering Yellow Jackets at some point, and I'm sure that my friend Michelle is gonna have a lot to say with the fact that I think Jackie is the hero of the show.
I haven't seen Yellow Jackets.
That actress is great, and Jackie is great. Okay, so that was Mud's Women.
Yep.
Thank you for talking to me about it.
Yeah, thank you for watching it with me.
Yeah, great. And so that's... anything further? You wanna? Did you give it a?
I gave it a 6.
Give it? You gave it a 6 and 6.5. Okay. Do you have any final thoughts?
I'm looking forward to seeing the next Mud episode.
Yeah.
To see if maybe it's just a weird. Maybe I've just remembered him wrong. You know what I mean? So. Sure.
Yeah. We'll see if the other one does involve a bunch of women with some kind of secret about them. So we'll see if it's the same episode again. I mean, these do.
Yeah, no,
these stories tend to repeat. Yeah. So as far as the question of the week, we sort of, I sort of forgot talking about a gross villain, like we were talking about with Saint, the grossest space villain. We settled on a rogue, and I said it doesn't have to be a space rogue. I said your favorite story or your favorite character that is a rogue. I may have said a slimy swindler.
Where was it? You put the question out. Next week's going to be talk about Mud's Women. Here's the question: who is your favorite slimy, swindling rogue of a character? They could be a space rogue or otherwise. Groups involved in roguery are probably fine too! Exclamation point.
Yes.
I don't. I'm tempted to call out Tendi just because, like, I love her, but I don't. She's not a rogue.
She spends a lot of time stating that she is not a rogue. Yeah. But I feel like when it comes down to it, she does some pirating and piloting pirate ships around and maybe fighting with other pirates in some kind of monarchy type pirate battles. Is her sister a princess or a baron that she has to fight? She does enough roguing.
Fair enough. If we're able to classify her, I'd like to go with her, mostly just because, like, I'm even trying to, like, I've even dyed my hair her color recently.
Cool. I love Tendi. Tendi's my favorite character on Lower Decks.
I don't know if she's my favorite, but she's definitely up there. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
obviously
there's-
love the main
Lower
two.
Decks has too many characters
Yeah.
that are solid. That's the problem. Like, they're all too good, you know? But yeah, no. Tendi is my Star Trek answer. Non-Star Trek answer is even harder, but somebody did say like Lando specifically in your
That's a good one,
your Discord. They had called out the Childish Gambino version.
I believe what he said was childish Landino.
It was. I don't remember Childish Gambino playing him. Like, I know he did. I just don't remember the performance.
I think he had
So-
sex with the spaceship.
That would not surprise me. So I'm going to say Lando, but I'm going to actually have to go with Billy D.
Oh, good. Okay. The original.
Yeah, because I don't remember the Childish Gambino performance well enough to speak to it.
Yeah, I don't. Gosh, Woody Harrelson was in that movie. I barely remember that movie. And again, there's, Star Trek movies are starting to blend together just like, anything else
Honestly-
Marvel does.
Honestly, the Star Wars movies, specifically for
Oh,
Solo...
I just called them Star Trek movies, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway.
For both the Rogue One and Solo, Chaos has told me we've seen them. I couldn't tell you what happened in either one.
Yeah.
We tried to watch Andor, and apparently he's a character from one of those movies. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yep.
Like, I do not remember him.
Rogue One.
Well, yeah, I don't remember either of those movies, but specifically, like the actual 1 through 9, I remember fine. It's those two are not movies that stick out to me. I don't know why.
No, well, yeah, I could speculate there's a lot of reasons why, really. And
Fair.
yeah, and a lot of it I think is the sort of forgettability of big bombastic CGI action movies, which is what a lot of filmmaking has defaulted into, and a lot of it is very forgettable. But also I think that people just don't remember things as much as I think that all of our memories have been affected by a lot of things.
Yeah, now we've got a lot of technological support, and we don't need to
Exactly.
actually remember anything anymore.
Yes, and if we start talking about that, I will talk about it for hours. So on Discord, some of the responses. The first thing that Saint responded with is a GIF of, I believe the character is called the Black Plague from the 90s classic Hackers. The caption says, "Never fear, I is here." Is that something he says in the movie? Probably. That sounds like something this character would say. And Saint says, "Because it is my IRL job, except much more boring, much fewer fur coats and skateboards." Locke says, "If Trek, Garrick or Quark, Quark, because I love how aware he was of how his values compared and contrasted with Federation values, and how he repeatedly used that insight to call out their biases and general whitewashing of human history, versus how the Federation, and by extension the viewer, by and large perceives Ferengi." There's at least one episode where Quark says something incredible to Sisko about human history. At least one. But that's that's a fun aspect of Quark right there. Locke continues by saying, "Garrick, because I find his humor impeccable and admire his capability." Garrick is a great character. A lot of people, have a fan favorite in old Garrick. Garrick Tane. I don't know if Tane was ever... He does have a last name other than... Well, we'll find out when we get there. Saint then says, either that or the childish Landino version of Lando. And what I was saying about... I feel like in this movie, this is what I'm talking about. These are so forgettable. I feel like he's in love with like a robot and the robot's identity. I think he says something about sleeping with the robot, even maybe it's a joke. But then the robot, like, becomes the soul of his spaceship or something. That's what I was talking about. That could be totally accurate to the movie, and it could be in some other movie. I don't know anymore, because all these movies look the same. Locke says, if we expand it to all things non-Trek, his top is probably Slippery Jim Digriz. My first... I go back and forth between what he's typing and then my interpretation of it. Anyway, I'm Locke again. My first introduction to the anti-hero rogue type from Harry Harrison's Stainless Steel Rat series, and the inspiration for my love of red teaming security. But I have to give really high billing to this guy, obviously. And he has posted the Final Fantasy wiki entry for Locke Cole from Final Fantasy VI. I didn't know that Locke's last name was Cole, and I don't know if this ended up in a podcast. Probably not. I think this came out when we were playing Vampire, that this is the Locke that Locke's name is named from, not the guy from Lost. Yeah, that looks like it. I was scrolling a little bit because then we started talking about Blindsight and the fact that there is a non-zero chance of fur coats and skatebirds. That was a fun game. It should have been called Tiny Hawk. Anyway, yeah, koadk.tv. Come and talk to us on Discord. This has been the Least Ready Room. Thank you, Locke. Thank you, Weebs. Thank you, Chris. And we will be back next week. Maybe this will be posted on Sunday, which is when it's supposed to be posted. Thanks for listening. I believe I have said enough.